Hello, beloved. Welcome to the Sankofa Ancestor Shrine. I'm your host, Sacred Woman Practitioner Tatami, and today we are going to finally have our next Sacred Sister Circle session. This year, we are not going through the gateways the same as usual. We are going to be focusing on our Senab Freedom Project. This can be a shawl, this can be a quilt. You can take these patches or quilt squares and put them, on something, maybe embellish a coat was my original plan to do with mine. Now I have absolutely changed it over these last few months to be I'm going to make it into prayer flags, which are, people tend to make them out of a rectangle or a square and string them together, kind of the same as you see on of those party decorations where it's just a bunch of triangles all streamed together. Um, Except the prayer flags have a more traditional spiritual meaning. I want to say that they were created in Tibet. I'm not completely sure if I can remember correctly, but it was created by people who were spiritual and they were trying to release their prayers into the wind. So they would take these flags that have been written on and a little art applied to them and put them outside. And as they frayed, it was as though the prayer was being released into the wind and carried to wherever spiritually it needed to go. I really love this concept, especially as I started to see more and more of all of the different communities and cultures that have adopted the practice. And so I really liked the idea of writing directly on the fabric. I liked the idea of expanding what I was doing with these, as well as I didn't really want another coat. And I just, I have a nice like puff jacket I got from an African woman on Etsy, and I also have like a cape. So I really just don't need, or it's not a cape, it's like a cloak. It's like a floor length cloak. Okay, so I just don't need another jacket at this time. And I don't want to save these until then. I wanted to put mine on a project. So I wanted to, one, make mine into the prayer flags, and two, put them onto. Now, honey, excuse the mess that is here on the table behind it, but this is the quilt I want to put the prayer flags across the top of. I think it will be really pretty. This is the first quilt I designed and started, the first quilt top, and I haven't really expanded on it. And I think prayer flags will absolutely go with this and just be a really beautiful addition. So that's what I'm going to do with my patches when I am finished with them at the end of this year. So now you see where I had a bit of my inspiration to take mine a little bit further. As a quick recap, you will find information about the Freedom Shawl in here, and we always read a little bit of from the next gateway that we're in, that we're making ours for. So we're a little bit behind this year, but I'm feeling super inspired. So we're going to see if your girl can't bomb through these while I'm taking breaks from making the 2021 spiritual planner. And honey, I am so excited to get that released. I am so excited to release the 2021 spiritual planner. It is going to be amazing. It is going to be absolutely amazing. All right, now, honey, let me see. So I wanted to quick recap. All right, so starting in January, we had the sacred womb, right? It was gateway 0. We went ahead. I have the triangle for the womb. It had the African women. I cut it like that. We have the mud cloth print in the back. And I also have the North Star, the Dipper, and we have the beading on the bottom to represent the flow and the fact that, the blood, the menstrual blood, is the most powerful of all of the DNA, the personal effects that you can use in, works in the works, even in Christianity they use the blood, right? And they use the blood of somebody who was born of a virgin, Or is that's Catholic, sorry. But my point is, there's a lot of this talking of the blood, and this is something, and they're, often one of the only people who in their regular church service still does that blood ritual. Whereas even in conjure and root work, it's a little more rare. It has to be a really specific situation to be whipping out the blood work. You don't just whip that out on a Sunday. So, at any rate, for the next month, for February, sacred words, we went ahead and basically I explained all of these. I don't want to do too long, especially for the people who have seen too much of me doing this. But I did I did a Dinker symbol up here. I did, the sacred connection into the heart of the person, and you can kind of see a zodiac symbol. This was to show a connection with the astrology spiritual aspect that impacts how you talk, how you communicate in that way. So that was sacred words. Next, I did sacred food. So it's a carrot with the kente, keep it sacred, applying the ancestors and the spiritual nature to all we do. This one down here is simply the earth. I'm so sad now because I found some other kind of prettier browns that I could have used for this, but it is what it is. Sometimes you just don't find something until later, and I know I'll make some cool patches with the other browns I found. So at any rate, the blue up here is the sky, the things that grow up above. I really love just wanted to, talk about the natural aspect. I really love that part of the book, about connecting with what you put within you and on top of you, all of that, right? Okay, so my next part, where have I been putting these when I'm done? Oh, over here. Okay, so the next one that I want to show you was for April. We did the sacred movement, and I really wanted a leaping figure. And so I did the same mud cloth, but I cut a figure and appliqued them on. And I just really like this one. It came out really bright. It only had one thing. This one thing kind of took me a while to sew on. But at any rate, after that, somebody commented that they would like for me to kind of explain how I do, design them, what have you. And so today's going to be a little different than usual, just in the sense that I am keeping in mind the idea of writing a word or a poem or a prayer on the patch that I make, right? So I'm going to be doing it slightly different, but really it's not that different. So essentially what I do is I go ahead, get all of these like different fabrics that I have laying around. This one looks familiar. I have a scrap of that. I have a scrap of this one that has kind of hieroglyphics and ancient Egyptian symbolism and such. If I can find a way to incorporate that, I'm definitely going to. This is like a shirt my daughter had. I used it on my Big Mama's kitchen quilt for like just like a stand or a book. I think I did for the family album. I used a piece of this fabric, so I have it. This is one of my favorites. I'm going to try and figure out which patch I can use. Excuse my drum, my little pan drum. I'm going to figure out which one I can figure out how to incorporate one of these into. I'm just not sure yet exactly how I want to do that. So yeah, I really love this fabric. I always try and keep it with me to be inspired. I have some green in case I need it. This is like a shirt from my son. So, just little pieces of fabric to inspire, And then I also have all of the squares I need to finish up this project cut. So these will be the backgrounds. This one, oh, don't want to lose the pieces. Oh, it's right there. There's the other one. And so I have, those different items here. I have some plans for other patches coming up. For example, for May, which is Sacred Beauty, which is where I last stopped, I found this really cool, it's got like a pretty purple and green leaf on it. And I thought that was really pretty and gentle, and it reminded me of the natural aspects of Sacred Beauty. And then I wanted to go ahead and make this one a little abstract with these two pretty fabrics that I felt were beautiful. And finally, I also have this little tiny pendant, and I really liked this little flower because it has the 5 petals, which reminds me of the 5 stars of like the pentagram, and basically the 4 elements and spirit is really what that reminds me of. So I wanted to go ahead and incorporate that in the dead middle of all of these when I'm done. And then I always keep with me some needles, some different colored threads depending. I just try and always grab 2 light ones and 2 dark ones. I don't try and match all of that with it, just trying to have fun. It's not about perfection. And I also try and gather some other types of like beadings and things. I really liked these, and I was thinking they might be really cool to have like as a sun, put around into a sun shape, all these triangles on one of them perhaps. And then I also have some other light pendants and things that I may or may not be able to like put into anything, but it's fun to have the beads around just in case. So that's basically my process. Oh, and I also have this, I think is going to be a really cool one for, I want to say it's in November. This is going to come up. Yeah, Sacred Work, Divine Timing. I have this broken bracelet, or this was an anklet. I have this broken anklet of mine. So sad. It was so cute for the day it lasted. And I also have this other broken anklet of mine, which was very cute and lasted a little longer. It had a bunch of these. So I took this one off of that other one that was broken. And then I'm going to go ahead, going to have it look like this is attached to this. So it kind of looks like a pendulum is what I'm hoping it will look like for that. But, even if it doesn't look like it, that's what I mean for it to look like. So it will be fine, right? Might as well just have fun. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to sew these 2 items on to this one. I don't think that I have to worry too much about, I don't have to worry about fraying for this circle one in the middle, but I do have to worry about it for this purple one. So I'm going to have to fold in the edges on this. It will be a little bit smaller, which will leave me some room to write something around the edge, which will come from the book we're about to read. So hopefully I will get some inspiration to pull from. If you have your book on you, I'm going to be reading just from page 216 and a few of the other parts after that so that we can get some inspiration, hopefully get your wheels turning for what you really want to do for your, and I mean, also feel inspired from what you've seen me do here, but also feel inspired from the book, right? Because we all have different items in front of us, different ways of expressing it. I went through almost like a dozen thoughts on what to do for Sacred Beauty. At one point, I had like a wrist with bracelets. At another point, I had flowers. At another point, I had a different type of flower. I think I went through like 4 types of flower. I wanted it to be simple. And then to think of it, I ended up with a flower, but it wasn't a flower I made. And I'm grateful for that because my flowers were not turning out right. Okay, so let me see. And I'll start sewing afterwards and show you the finished patch. At the end, I'll give a quick update between each thing I do, and then I'll show you the finished patch at the end. Okay, so Sacred Beauty's element is earth. That is another reason why I always feel like the flower really is such a beautiful thing. It's cliche, but it really is from the earth. And also the lotus is such a huge symbol in the Sacred Woman book, right? You get to the end and you're a lotus woman. And you really have that symbolism of rising from the muck and the mire and the depths, right down, just down deep, and coming up into the sunlight, emerging up past, the impossible, where no one else would think it would come. So Gateway 4's Sacred Beauty element is earth. Sacred beauty embraces the divine aesthetic of harmony within and without. It offers us a healthy alternative, the way of natural beauty to enhance our divine loveliness. Sacred beauty brings harmony to every aspect of one's life through comedic etiquette, an ancient form of grace and beauty expressed through comedic Nubian spiritual path. It will cosmically attune you to holistic dress as you learn to unfold into a beautiful attitude filled with a rainbow of colors. Sacred beauty rules the heart center. Without sacred beauty, there is only artificial beauty, application for skin, hair, breasts, lips, and eyes, all of which cause toxic shock. Developing your sacred beauty helps create devotion to a divine, beautiful life. Okay, I'm going to pause real quick there just to say I always really love that part because it's a reminder that there is beauty in artificial beauty and that there are uses for it as well. However, if that's all that there is, if it's just that surface stuff, if it's just the toxic stuff and we're not even really looking at what it is we're applying. And I do think that there are differences of opinion, obviously, when it comes there, but there is a lot of science that can come behind, there's a science behind certain perfumes being just, not really something you should be inhaling, and others being something that are natural that can actually, you can smell good and not be hurting yourself, right? So really keeping in mind that you can dress the way you like to, have your own style, have your own way of expressing yourself. And sacred beauty is not about conforming everybody to dress Nubian and look like Queen Afua, right? It's just about really being careful about your choices, careful about what you're rubbing into your skin, careful about what you're promoting, what you're supporting with your money and your purchases, and understanding that all of that ties into sacred beauty when you are supporting a company that is like ethical and that you appreciate what that company is working towards and supporting. That all ties into your sacred beauty and adds to your sacred beauty, and it's divine harmony of what is within and without. And it also is a great way to create the devotion in your life because, once you start feeling like the altar and you start putting forth yourself with that energy, it does start to permeate to the world around you, and into the rest of your life. The awakening of the gateway of sacred beauty opens the eye of divine aesthetic harmony and rids us of a mundane vision of the world. I like that too. Ridding yourself of the mundane vision of the world is so important because a lot of people will find themselves getting to this point of like, what's the point? Nothing is worth anything. But in reality, when your eye is trained to see sacred beauty, right? It's not just about how you look, it's about how you see the world. And you start to really understand that the world is this great, beautiful place. It's worth protecting, it's worth standing up for, it's worth fighting for and spending time with and enjoying, right? Not just all the fighting and activism, but just simply enjoying it for what it is and what's here. I really think that it's, ridding yourself of that mundane, finding yourself not understanding what is so wondrous about the world that you are in. It's one of those devastating things, and it can really lead to, you kind of going down a tunnel, a hill of just deeper and deeper away from understanding the glory of Mother Nature and the ancestors and the world around you and what people have accomplished and what they're going to, and what you could add to making sure that's a positive experience for the future generations. Um, she says this gateway attunes us. Oh, sorry, I skipped. It allows us to transform our world and everything in it for the good and the beauty of humanity. This gateway attunes us to the unlimited possibilities of divine beauty as a healing balm. So, I think that the beauty as a healing balm is such an important one too, because it reminds you of just the healing that it can do at the wider spread, but also just the small things in the home, right? There's always that really satisfying good feeling when you can walk in and you see that the top of a, table is cleared off, or something has been wiped off that maybe it typically isn't. We always feel satisfied. So being able to add that beautiful touch to your home, and as you go through the world, also to the world at large, is so important to it. And I think that's inspiring because it tells you, there's so many facets that your project can go. It could be focused on, the nature aspect of the beauty, the world aspect of the beauty, the community part, the activism part, the relaxing and loving life part, genuinely attaching yourself to life and the beauty of humanity and what it has to offer, right? It's not just about putting on certain types of rings, anointing yourself with certain types of things, perfumes, that type of thing. It's also about how you see the world. So when we're making our patch for sacred beauty, don't feel so constrained. But then also, if there's something that, sacred beauty really evokes an image in you, and it can really make you think of something else. For example, the kohl liner that the Egyptians would wear, right? We still wear eyeliner today. It's a kind of a worldwide thing now, right? Not just in Africa and the Middle East, and now it's spread to everybody. Everybody wants to have, like, their eyes have some darkness around them. And so if you have like an all-seeing eye, or you put an eye and it showcases this, I think it's still something that can inspire not just the idea of the physical, but the eye also represents so many other things, right? Or a face, or the flower. It can be such a simple thing, but I think that sacred beauty also has so much more to offer. Let me see. Some of the other things that can give you some inspiration is here in the libations. She mentions that Het Haru is the spiritual guardian. Looking into Het Haru and Het Haru symbolism, stories, that type of thing, it can also give you some insight and inspiration on what to make for your patch. Queen T, who is King Tut's grandmother, she was also somebody who understood sacred beauty and adhered to it very well. Her name is spelled Tiye. She also mentions Lena Horne, Kaita Hetharu, Nakena Evans. Those are elders. And then we have our contemporaries, Erica Badu, Lauren Hill. They all honor sacred beauty, and she also urges you, right, with your contemporaries. You're also considering yourself one of those. Look into yourself. What does your own sacred beauty look like? Because Erica Badu and Lauren Hill, there's some similarities, right, to their aesthetic and the way they present themselves. So finding ways to really differentiate yourself and make yourself really make sure it's authentic. Make sure you're not just putting on a costume of somebody else, but rather you're putting on something that is comfortable to you, that expresses you, that, that's how you would like to be seen. So when you do this, I also urge you to look into both of their songs. Maybe there's a song of both, either one of them, or a different type of, neo soul artists like Jill Scott or something, that can really get you into that sacred beauty feeling, that sacred beauty, the beauty that just exudes out to the rest of the world, where you just love the world. Those moments where you just love yourself, you love the moment, you love how you look today, you love everything. That's kind of the sacred beauty feeling, is just that immense ability to just see the best in all of these things, to see the beauty in all of these things, and to create the beauty, and see how to create the beauty in these things. So the color is green for regeneration, fertility, growth. Let's see what else she talks about. Aloe vera has to do with this. Let me see. She mentions the flower essences, pomegranate, iris, Indian paintbrush, pretty face, and pink monkey flower. And I feel like I skipped where the stone was. So, the sacred stone for this gateway was malachite, which is a green stone that aids in balance and calming all of those who come in contact with it. I think that is such an important thing to think about, the balance, because that's also very beautiful, is being able to have that balance. Being, it's not just all beauty, all within. There is a balance, you know, all physical, all within. There is a balance of the between. There's a balance between you and the world around you, and there's the ability to create a balance even when you notice that it's kind of off. I think that's so helpful. She also talks about the sistrum, Haru's sacred instrument, which is a tambourine like rattle. And oh, and she also notes that the stone energizes the fourth Ari chakra, which regulates the heart center, the seat of love and compassion. Anyways, she mentions here playing the sistrum as you do the transformative work of the gateway to lift the vibration of Het Haru from deep within you, so it shines through you and all around you. I think that the music, dance, this is also something that can be really considered sacred beauty. A painting, that type of thing. I think there's a lot of inspiration that can be had for sacred beauty, but a lot of it is very abstract and kind of in the eye of the beholder. So it's going to, I think, it will take people really being creative and figuring out exactly the story that you're trying to tell with your different freedom patches. And I'm excited to share this one with you. I'm about to get started sewing mine now that it's all fresh, and I'm excited to do it. And I'll come back and show you in a second. Okay, so got this first part done, just some simple applique. And now I'm going to move on to the star, the charm, and some writing. All right, so the blue is now on as well. Stretchy fabric was a little difficult to get on right, but I think it still turned out kind of cute. It looks like a planet in a eerie world. Very strange, but it is pretty. I do like it. So I am going to go ahead and put on my little flower and finish this up. This one only took me about 45 minutes tops. So not that bad. And I was running in and out to take care of my kids. All right. Thank you for watching. May your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads.